Hey everyone, so we're actually inside today because there is some maintenance I need to do with my pothos plants that I have trailing along the walls. There's one right there behind me. But basically I've been ignoring all of my house plants except for watering and a little bit of fertilizing once a month since I've been in the garden. So because I've been a little bit negligent, there is some stuff that's a bit overgrown or just stuff that needs some tending to. So let me take you around and I'll show you what I'm going to do today. So I have two pothos plants in my office that are trailing along the walls. This is the first one and the one that needs the most work. And then swinging around over here, waiting for the light to adjust. This is my other one. I'm not 100% sure if I'm gonna do much to change it, but there is at least some like yellowing leaves I have to remove and just a little bit of maintenance. But coming back to this one now, so I've had this plant, I think, for just over a couple years, maybe about 2.5 years. I think I got it in early 2019. The original plant was from Home Depot. It's just, both of these are just golden pothos. And I think it was only about this long when I first got it. So you can see over the last 2 years, it's grown a lot. And this is also with a lot of cutting of the vines for propagation. So it would be much longer than it is now if I had never trimmed any of the vines. But basically, I think in March of this year is when I first trailed it along the walls, and I haven't updated it since. So we have a lot of the vines that have grown and are now just kind of hanging in a little bit of a mess here. So I'm gonna figure out kind of what I'm gonna do with these vines, if I'm going to keep them as they are and just configure them along the wall, or if I am gonna trim and then just propagate some vines to use elsewhere. Coming up close though, I'll show you how I've hung this. Basically, I'm using command hooks for this plant. So these just stick on the wall and then the plant itself just slides right in. Some things you want to be aware of if you are going to use command hooks is make sure the hook itself is large enough so that you're not kind of strangling the vine if this hook was a bit smaller and pinching it. So just make sure there's enough space for the width of vine that you have. And then I also like these because they're mobile. So they're not the static hooks, but they're mobile, which makes it a little bit easier to get the vine in and out and kind of play around with it there. Now, where we have the overgrowth, so I think with this top vine, I'd like to trail it along the top of the wall here. I shouldn't need any hooks or anything for that because there is a lip above the door frame, so that should be able to balance up there. These though are the ones that I either need to start looping back around potentially, or I need to trim them. So I'm gonna set up the camera, get to work, and then we'll see what it looks like at the end. Now I thought I'd bring you in a bit closer for this one just to kind of show you my overall process, but essentially with the command hooks. So you get a little sticky strip here. One side says wall on it, so that's the side you're gonna stick to the wall. The other side that doesn't say wall, that's the side you're gonna stick to the hook. Now make sure that the tab's at the bottom, so when you stick it on, make sure you're sticking it the correct way. I don't think it's a huge deal if you do it upside down, but it's just easier to take off if you do it the correct way, like that. So let me remove the backing here, and then I'm just gonna stick this right to the back of the hook, squeeze it on, and then I'm gonna peel off the back of the wall side. And then basically, I'm just taking my vine and kind of laying it out where I want it. And then once I get an idea, I think that looks pretty good, I'm kind of tucking the hook under the vine there and then pressing this against the wall so I know it's in the right place. Now, the hooks I got from Amazon. They just came in a like cardboard box. There wasn't any information on it. I'm pretty sure when I've used these in the past, it says to like leave it on the wall for a little bit before hanging anything, but because the vines are so lightweight, I've been fine just putting the vines on there immediately. So that's what we're looking at right now. What I'm trying to figure out is with these longer ones here, if I do want to cut them or if I want to start looping them back around. So I'm going to play around with that and see which I like best. Okay, so I think I'm good with this one. So first, starting off at the vine at the top, I did end up having to put a push pin into the top of the frame because the vine kept wanting to fall off. So the lip itself is very flat. There wasn't like a little indent to tuck it into. So I just stuck a push pin in there to prevent it from falling over. Hopefully that's strong enough to hold. Coming up to the other vines then, for these two on the bottom, I decided I did like the way it looked kind of swooping back around. And then as it keeps growing, I'll just fill the space down here with those vines. The only one I'm going to trim and then just propagate is this one up here. So since I have another vine growing here, there's not really the same amount of space for it to loop back around without it getting kind of too tangled looking on the wall. So this one, I'm just gonna snip right there, and I'll grab that and then I'll propagate that piece. But overall, I think this looks really good. I'm happy with that. So now we'll move on to the other golden pothos in the room. So this plant I've had trailing along the wall much longer. I've had it basically ever since we moved in here. And I started trailing it before I got any command hooks. So there's actually no command hooks on this. It's mostly held up with a couple push pins and a prayer. So along the ceiling, let me see if I can get one. There's one like right there, but I'm basically sticking the push pins in along the trim and then just draping over the vine on those. And the push pins themselves, there's another one down here. Oh, hello. There's another one here. They're clear so they don't really show up unless you're super close, obviously, to the plant. But the vine around the mirror, I'm pretty sure that one push pin I just showed you is the only one. It's basically draped. And then it outgrew, so it finally got all the way around the mirror. And these two leaves just got tangled together. And so it's coming down here, which I'm trying to decide if I like that or not, because if I take that off, it's just gonna be hanging down kind of here. And I almost like the idea of another vine coming like from down the bottom of the actual planter itself. So we'll see. On this side is fine for now. That one is just along the frame of the window. No push pins or anything up there. That one's just held on its own. And then this one here, I've just draped around the handle. So this vine's obviously a lot shorter. So I haven't needed to really do anything except the handle yet. Over here, another kind of decision point. So basically, do I want to, sorry, it's a little dark. Let's see if I move over here, if it gets any better. A little bit better, there we go. So do I want to trail it along the top of the doors or figure out something along the wall? Do I want to hang it as it is? I'm really not sure yet. So we'll go ahead and get to that and kind of figure out if I'm really making any changes. But there are also, I think I mentioned some yellow leaves I need to pull off of this one as well. So just a little bit of light cleanup and retooling of the vines. So here's option one. I thought I was gonna hate it more than I do. I actually kind of like it going along the top of the window, but then I'm wondering if that makes this feel like there's too much open space. But I could just put something else there to hang, but I don't know if I think I would like it to be more compact and like draping along here. So I haven't actually done anything, like I haven't put any push pins. I don't think I would need to, like to kind of make this slightly more permanent. I just kind of flopped it up there. So I might play around with it a bit here, see if there's something I like, or if I do want to keep it trailing along there. and I've changed my mind. So as soon as I started draping this one back along the wall, I immediately loved it better, even though I didn't hate it trailing along there, but I like the idea of keeping the vines more compact and just making it look a bit more like thicker and fuller instead of just having like one strand going off in a random direction. So here's what we're looking at now. And then the plan will be just to kind of keep going back and forth and back and forth. I think that'll be really pretty and whimsical. And then as this one kind of gets longer, I'm gonna let it continue to drape down the window. And then I'll probably loop it back around, but maybe even at some point I could start it trailing along my desk wall. But we are nowhere near that point yet. So that is the finished product of this plant. All right, so that is everything I had planned today with my pothos plants. I really actually like the results. I feel like the room just feels a bit more cleaner now. There's not as many vines that are kind of looking like a tangled mess. So even though I do tend to ignore my houseplants in the summer, because we have such long and cold winters here in Chicago, they really do get all of my focus from the months of like, I'd say November through March, maybe early April when I start sowing seeds for the garden. So as it gets colder, I will probably have a lot more houseplant content on here compared to garden content. So I hope you'll find that enjoyable. But thank you so much for coming along with me today, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.